let's think about reports in Sage. There are several reports that you can run. In fact, there are many in Sage, and we're just going to touch on the most popular ones. Now, one of the ones that you may be asked to produce is a trial balance. I'm going to start in the Nominal Codes module, and then you'll notice that I have a button dedicated to the trial balance because it's such a popular report. So if I click on that button, I'm going to either send it straight to my printer, preview it on screen, save it as a file, or attach it to an email. But as I want to look at it, I'm going to select preview, and then I click run. At this point it asks me for which month would I like to run my report. Now, it depends on the financial year, so the first month, month 1, will not necessarily be January, but will be the first month of your financial year. Or if you want to leave it to the last month of your financial year, you'd go for the 12 option. So that's what I'm going to do in this situation, and click OK. And there we go. It previews on screen, and I can make it bigger by using the drag handles, like so. And here's my report. Now, you can either print it to paper using this button here, email if email has been set up, or the one that I use is export. Export's handy if you don't want to use lots of paper but you do want to keep a record of this report, because by clicking export it allows me to save this report to electronically to a folder. So in this example I'm using the company called Raven Glassware, and I've already created a folder, and I'm going to just add it to the list of reports I already have. And you'll notice that Sage down here gives it this funny little acronym, TB for trial balance. So I'm going to call it my trial balance used in the video. You can give it whatever name makes sense to you, and then you click save. So always remember you have the export option. You also have another option called send to Excel, but I'm not going to do that now. It's quite a useful one though if you do a lot of work in Excel. Let's close that one down. Another really common one you might be asked to produce is an audit trail report. Audit trail report can be found in the transactions module. Click on transactions and it has its own button here. Click audit trail, and then you have several different layouts depending on the amount of information you want to produce. Personally, I find the summary the most useful one. It's got just enough information for you to be able to see what you've been doing, but not so much it's too hard to read. Again, I click run, and I just need to check the dates here. It's a quirk of the version of Sage that I'm using that for some reason it clips the date to the end of 2019. So I'm just going to make sure that that's running to 2020. Click OK, and there I have my report showing all the information about all the transactions that I have done so far in this particular company. And again, I can either print or I can export to PDF. Another one you might be asked to do is a customer address list. So the word customer is a big clue. I go to my customers module, and then I go over to the reports button. This is because this isn't such a popular report, so it doesn't have a dedicated button. I have to go and find it amongst all the other reports that are available in Sage. So I click on reports, and here I have a category of many different reports. I'll come back to why these ones are showing here in a moment. So with a customer address list, you're going to have to find the appropriate category for that report, and in this case it's the customer details. So I click on customer details, and then I have a number of reports in that list that I could choose from. However, the one I'm going to choose is the one at the top that's called the customer address list. Now, because I use this one a lot, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click, let me just untick it so you can see what happens. I'm going to click the star button here. That marks this report as a favorite. Now what that means, if I just close this window down for a second, what this means now, that when I go up to my favorites menu, all the reports that I've clicked the star against now appear up here in my favorites menu, so I can get to them much quicker. It also means that when I click on the reports button, my favorites are the first ones to be displayed. There we go. There's my customer address list. Now, just a little note about when you run the customer address list. Do make sure that you have no customers selected. I'll show you why. Let's just close that down for a second. If I select a customer before I run the report, when I run it and preview it, you'll see that it only shows my selected customer. There's only one customer here, the one that I had highlighted. So in fact, what I really should have done before I ran that report, I should have clicked the clear button to ensure that nothing was selected. So now, when I run that report, I'm going to see all of my customers appear in the list. Exactly the same principle with the supplier address list. Go to the supplier module, reports, find the appropriate category, which in this case is supplier contacts, or excuse me, supplier details. Let's look down. There we go. There's my supplier. Where's it gone? Oop, up a bit. Supplier address list. I like that report, so I'm going to click the star so it adds to my favorite list here. There it is. Double click to run it. And there's my supplier address list. Let's do another one. Let's say, for example, I want to see a report that shows the items that I have matched in my bank reconciliation. I start in my bank accounts module. I go to reports, and also let me just back off there for a second. Of course, in this case, I do actually have to stipulate which bank account I want to run with the report. So unlike suppliers and customers, I do want something selected in advance. So bank current account in this case, reports, and this particular report lives under the reconciled and unreconciled transactions category, and it's not the first but the second one here, the bank statement of reconciled and unreconciled transactions, and that's a useful one. If I just run it there, I'm going to see all of the transactions that I matched, that I reconciled, and any that I was unable to reconcile that hopefully will appear on next month's bank statement. I'm going to show you one final report that I like a lot. If you're using Sage in an education setting and you've been provided with a set of answers, a very useful report to run is one called the Nominal, pronounce it correctly, Nominal Activity Report. So I start by going to nominal codes, and I ensure that nothing is selected by clicking the clear button. I'm okay, I'm good, nothing is selected. Then I go to reports, and the one I want is this one here, nominal activity excluding no transactions, which you can find in the nominal activity category here. What this does is this will run a report on all of the nominal codes that have got a balance on them, or rather have got transactions against them. So you can see it's broken down account by account, showing exactly which transactions have been recorded against that particular nominal account. So if you are doing an education exercise and you've got an error and you can't understand why your nominal account balance at the end, your trial balances don't match, this is the best report that you can run and compare to the answers, assuming you have been given the correct nominal activity report, to try and find out where the problem lies. I hope you found that useful.